that's
creeping up.
It's creeping up. And then I notice in the grocery store, just things that I'm buying, how the price has gone up and gone up. And certainly I know, say, wages, our own or anyone else's, I'm assuming, is not going up to keep pace with that.
Right.
So somehow we need to be doing something to offset, and it'd be healthy for us too.
Yeah, it's not just eating the food, but it's being out in the sunlight and the fresh air. It's very healthy. And
which is, of course, a source of vitamin D, and we don't get enough north of Boston. So, so definitely.
So there's a lot of advantages. One that we haven't mentioned is that just say you're great at growing tomatoes, and I don't know how, but I can grow zucchinis. Or if we meet out there in the garden, I could trade you a basket of zucchinis for a basket of tomatoes. And there's a lot of that interaction that goes on among gardeners anyway.
Yeah. See, that's what I see as a symbiosis developing within a community for a chicken farmer to become good at perhaps the diverse raising of hens, and diverse meaning the different strains and how not to interbreed too much and that sort of thing, and to come up with quality, good tasting eggs. We know the difference now, being relatively new chicken farmers, that the difference between an egg fresh out of the chicken versus one that's been in the same thing. I guess what we were talking about with the tomato earlier,
stored in storage for months at a time.
Yeah, and I don't even necessarily understand it, except that I have been to, and this was down in West Virginia where I went to college, a commercial level chicken farm. It was one of our agriculture farms actually, and the mass production of chicken eggs leaves something to be desired. I would assume, again, at that end result, the taste of the egg. I don't really understand it all chemically, but there's definitely, my taste buds say, yep, there is a difference between our little chickens that are loved and petted versus the ones that are in a cage, 1 foot by 1.5 feet for their whole life. There seems to be something going on there.
So they're given they're given vitamins. They're given a lot of artificial food to increase egg production and increase their growth rate. They want them to lay sooner than a normal chicken would, and to have larger eggs, and then they're done with them after a short time.
Do you see this blossoming beyond the garden itself and into the community in other ways? I'm seeing some things. I'm just curious if you've gone beyond the garden itself and see.
Oh, sure. I think the biggest thing would be just education. I think that once a community garden is set up and people want to know how to do things, someone like the York County Cooperative Extension might be able to teach a class or send one of the master gardener volunteers to teach how to do it. And the people who would attend those classes wouldn't necessarily have to be a part of the community garden. They can go home and have their own vegetable garden, but come to the community garden classes to gain the knowledge that they might need to improve their own garden. So yeah, there are a lot of ways that that people would benefit from it.
Have you considered putting a hoop house? You know what I'm talking about, a hoop house? Have you considered making that part of your community garden?
Not really. It's a great idea. In fact, I'm growing salad greens and muscaloon lettuce and arugula, that sort of thing, in a 1,500 square foot hoop house.
It's a little bit bigger than ours. Unheated?
Unheated, yeah, and having great success.
Right, yeah.
And that would be nice to see something something like that here, but if that ever happened, it would be years down the road.
Yeah.
I'd like to see just, get the
garden
people in here going.
First steps first.
Yeah.
Yeah, first step.
Yeah. I was just fascinated with Elliot Coleman's work. In fact, we have a hoop house, and that I can go in there and get arugula and things now in the freezing. It is so marvelous. And people, they first thought like I was crazy, and I said, well, if he's doing it, and he's, surely we can do it. And it'll freeze and thaw, and it's there. So it's wonderful.
I read the same book, and that was my model.
It's inspiring, right?
It is. Yes, it is.
And just as an edification or clarification, that we're not talking a heated hot house here. We're talking ours. The one we made happens to be double layer poly that you can blow air in between, but there's no heat at all except for whatever the sun might at this time of year make it through the trees for our particular location?
I don't own one. I'm borrowing a greenhouse. It's a single layer, and my winter greens are planted right in the ground. Do you have raised beds, or do you?
Ours are in the ground.
They are, okay.
And we brought manure in because a permaculture specialist said bring it in and that'll help the temperature a little bit. So
that's right,
we brought in fresh cow manure, and it's in the ground, and we're quite happy with it. So, so tell me, what's the next step for you on your community garden? What needs to be done?
We're waiting for the selectmen to okay it. The proposal is in. They've got everything in writing, and we're waiting for a yes or a no.
Oh. Did they give you any indication when you presented? No.
Just have to wait and see. Maybe if people called up and asked how progress, whether or not there's any progress, it might inspire them.
And
when
they were talking about the town of selectmen in Hollis, call up and just
call the selectmen and ask them
what's going on with the community garden.
Correct. Yeah.
Okay, and then say, okay, so it's going, and I want to do it. What's my first step? Do I contact you, or what do I do? Do I show up here at the television station and say point the way, or?
Well, I think maybe if you go to the town's website, this proposal is supposed to be on the website any day now, and you can read it there, and that would be the place to go. We don't really have a committee formed yet. As soon as we get authorization, we'll take the ball and run with it. But for now, I would say go to the website, the town of Hollis, and there should be a notice there on what the progress is and who to contact.
So you're actually interested in, or would be welcoming founding members at this point that would help you get this ball rolling?
Yeah. There are Judy Romano is also master gardener. She's volunteered to be on the committee to help set up, and there are a couple of other people sort of waiting in the wings to see what happens. And if we get the okay, then I think we'll have some more volunteers come forward right away. Yeah. They didn't want to commit at this point. They're just waiting to see what happens.
That sounds great.
You're really a step ahead of us, because Michael and I have been thinking about a community garden. It's all in our head, but thinking about it on the Buxton side now for quite a while, and saying where would be a good place to have a community garden where people would come and plan and be with each other and know who their neighbors are.
Right. I think the thing is that you can form all kinds of boards and committees and talk about it, and the thing is to just do it. Yeah. Get out there and do it. Whatever it takes, just push forward. So
is there any last-minute things that we haven't brought out that you would want to say to the community here about the community garden?
We could use your support, and once it gets going, we'd be even more happy to see you plant vegetables, flowers, whatever you like, and support it and be an active participant.
Thank you for being with us, Rick.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you very much for inviting me.